Phil? How are you?
Universal, as it turns out, was working on a deal to use a neon SRT-4 as one of Brian's 2 cars.
Oh, can you imagine?
I strenuously objected to this, and to his credit, John Singleton, the director, told me, quite literally, and I quote, "Lieberman, I don't want no booty-ass in my movie. If this is booty, tell me now."
Take whatever booty you can find.
I've spent $100,000 on my dream body.
I told him the truth, that no matter how many nitrous bottles they threw in this car, it was still going to be like putting lipstick on a pig.
This is called Crimson Sky.
Who are you?
Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back to Phoenix, Arizona, and welcome to another video. If you are tuning into this video because you're wondering if you won the Underglow kit from my last video, I'm going to be announcing that actually in my next video, so sorry to keep you waiting. If you haven't entered yourself in that yet, go back, watch my last video. The instructions to enter in there, it's totally free. The winner of that kit will obviously be picked at random sometime between the end of this video and when my next one drops. Now, down to business. What do we have here? Ladies and gentlemen of the channel, I would like to introduce you to my latest impulse buy, a 2003 Dodge SRT-4.
That's ISO. Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up, she got her hands on her knees and she bringing the cake out. Smoke it up, I got some gas, some packs, I'm up in the greenhouse. Ball it up, I'm with the gang, we taking shots off the rebound. Look at my posters, say now, I've been humble too long, yeah. Tell them all to stay calm, yeah. Tell them all to move on, yeah. Look at my posters, say now, they be lost in the sauce, yeah. Took a loss, that's your loss, yeah. Had to get my point across, yeah.
Now, I totally get what you're thinking. You're sitting there, you're saying, man, why does this guy buy all these crappy cars from the early 2000s? And the honest answer is, these were the cars that were cool to me when I was graduating high school and getting into college, and just being real with you guys, I couldn't afford at the time. When I was younger, I used to play with Matchbox cars and, you know, wrestling figures and stuff. And now as I get older, these are the Matchbox cars and the wrestling figure. It's just something fun for me to do. It's a hobby, and none of them break the bank. So if one of them or all of them blow up, it's really not gonna hurt me that much. And just to clarify, I never really wanted the SRT-4. Me and a buddy of mine who's no longer with us
standing there by my side, and now you gonna be with me for the last ride.
Test drove one time on a random Saturday in college at a dealership. I love the fact that it had that boost gauge in there, but the front wheel drive torque steer and all that, I thought it was stupid. But nowadays, when you can buy these things for as cheap as you can buy them for and rip the pants off just about every Mustang out there, they've kind of grown on me. Now, the fact that you're watching this video probably means you actually like the SRT-4, maybe you're even interested in one. The majority of people think this car is a joke, and that's another reason I really like it. I like things that are kind of underdogs and definitely punch above their weight, and this one punches way above its weight. All right, before I get into the nitty-gritty details on this car, I'm gonna let my negative self, what's up fools, go around it and tell you everything that's wrong with it. All right, listen up guys, this thing is absolutely trashed. I don't know what Jesse was thinking when he bought this. Let's start with the bumper. It looks like a 2-year-old got some crayons and melted them on the bottom. I don't know if it's Plasti Dip or spray paint. I mean, look at the gap in this bumper. How do you even do it that bad? The paint has all kinds of imperfections. There's chips all over the hood. There's clear coat missing and fading. Trim pieces are missing their coatings. It has one of the worst tint jobs I've seen in a while. It's all bubbled up and purple. I don't know what kind of exhaust this is, but of course they couldn't get the tips on straight. There's some surface rust in one of the rear fenders. I'd say this whole thing was in an accident at one time. This door has been painted and is chipping. The front bumper, hood, and fender have red paint underneath them from probably a red SRT whatever. The windshield is cracked. The driver's front seat bolster's all tore up. You got this gauge all loose in here. There's so many things in this engine that are janky. Bunch of weird wiring and fuses back there. Some more classy spray paint like the front bumper. Again, signs of a red car everywhere. Oh, and probably best of all, this thing doesn't shift. All right, I'll take that back now. Now, I do agree with my negative self. This car does have a lot of imperfections, but I did buy it for a reason. The number one reason was it was cheap. I'm not gonna say how cheap because this is probably gonna be a quick flip. Kind of like the 2.5 RS. I never intended to flip the 2.5 RS, but I kind of came off of that one feeling pretty good. and this one popped up. I was the first one to it. I know there was a ton of action on it because when I first saw the car with the seller, his phone was ringing off the hook, text messages, so I did kind of impulse buy it. Now, admitting to you guys that I impulse bought this, I also broke a few rules of buying a car that I don't usually like to break. I didn't run a Carfax on it. It's got a Georgia title. It doesn't say salvage on it anywhere, but this thing has obviously been in an accident before. It has been fixed. The lines are pretty good, but you saw in the paint, it's not that great, and there's some chips and whatnot coming in. So I don't know, I might get buried in this thing pretty quick, but number one rule I broke was I didn't run a Carfax on this. Another rule I broke that I don't like to is I purchased it at night. I only saw it at night. I love seeing them in the day. I love looking down the lines of the car, looking for dents, hail, all that good stuff, paint, and I saw it at night. Another thing that's always tough is I took the seller's word for it. He advertised this thing as a 400 horsepower car, not online, but when we were driving it, he's like, yeah, my dad did all the work. This thing's got like 400 horsepower. Maybe it'll have 400 horsepower with a tune, but honestly, driving it, it doesn't feel much faster than stock to me. I'm pretty sure the Z could take it, and the Eclipse will give it a good run for its money. You'll probably see that in an upcoming video. The main selling point to me was the interior was pretty clean. Yes, the driver's seat is a little bit messed up. It needs to be vacuumed right now, but all in all, it's clean. It doesn't smell disgusting. These seats are wicked comfortable. I drove this thing for like an hour yesterday. One of you actually saw me out on I-10, and it was totally comfortable the whole time. The only thing is it was almost overheating. I was running the heater with the windows down, so it was super hot, but the seats are awesome. So if you know the SRT-4 game, you might want to take a look in here and tell me what I got. Obviously, we've got a big aftermarket intake. There's some kind of like blow-off valve or something, wastegate. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a blue anodized thing. Underneath here, I don't know if we're rocking stock injectors or not. Somebody watching might know and can comment below. Obviously, the catch can is aftermarket. Whether it's a good or a bad one, I don't know. I think catch cans, it doesn't really matter as long as you've got them routed right and a place for the oil to sit. I suppose the baffles would probably be the most important thing, but this one looks like it's got a dipstick on it, so can't be too bad. According to a sticker on here, the timing belt was done at 134,000 miles. This currently has 144,000 miles on it. We'll probably pop the timing belt cover at some point, see what it looks like in there. I have always liked the stock wheels on the SRT-4. They were in great shape, and then the tires were nice. So I figured, worst case scenario, I can do what I normally do on these things, clean it up, do a little bit of maintenance, get it running right, and then turn it. Or who knows, maybe I'll fall in love with it, and it'll be a cast member of the channel for a while. Underneath the car, I'm not quite sure what's going on with the exhaust yet. Maybe we'll jack it up and take a look in this video. It looks kind of custom, not stainless steel necessarily. In the back, that kind of looks like exhaust shop work, but we'll maybe take a look at that later. It is straight through. I think it's a catless downpipe into a straight pipe. I know you're dying to hear it, so here's the exhaust note. Now, if I'm you on the other side of the screen, I'm probably sick of hearing me talk. I want to see this thing drive. So let's hop in, go for a little spin around town. Oh, I forgot to talk about it. I think my negative self did. But right now, this thing isn't shifting very well. The SRT-4 has a known issue. There's a clutch pivot. I think it's just called a clutch pivot something on the pedal back there that wears out really easily. I have a part on order. I'm hoping that fixes it. If it's not that, I'll probably have to drop the transmission. There is some kind of clutch fork in there that has two little things on it that wear, but right now when you're watching me drive this, you'll notice shifting is pretty difficult. It's over 100 degrees here today, and the car does run a little hot. It's topped off with coolant and everything, but that's one thing I've noticed. That big intercooler up front probably doesn't help anything. Also, no oil pressure gauge.
Ignorance is bliss.
Broke up a little bit there. I do think there is a boost leak. Every once in a while I hear it kind of shuddering over here. You might hear it. good noises. Make some bad ones too.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
The next day.
Real quick, couple things I forgot to mention yesterday. The car did come with an owner's manual, which is always kind of nice to have. A lug nut key, it's got some special lock lugs on there. And then this Diablo Sport tuner. After some quick research, Diablo Sport seems to be the company to know for SRT-4 tuning, at least at first glance. So hopefully Diablo Sport is still down for the job. I assume they're gonna be able to do some remote tuning or something. And then I wanna show you something in the trunk quick. Okay, so in the trunk of the car, there's this like auxiliary tank here, and then some kind of pump. I wonder if this is like, is it meth? Nitro meth? I have no idea. I watched too much Fast and Furious, but.
I said only pussies run nitro meth. You looked under my hood?
We'll have to figure it out. If you know, let me know in the comments. Last night when I put the car away, I did spray the bumper down with some citrus like Goo Gone. I wanna see if I can get some of this plasti dip off. I just picked up some polymer razors from O'Reilly's. So let's see what this does. So it looks like it's gonna take a lot of elbow grease and time to get this bumper looking decent, but once I get all that off and get a factory match spray paint, I think it'll kind of come around. Last thing I want to do before I call this an episode, I want to get this thing up in the air, take a look underneath. That way, if there's anything weird or anything that you guys can point out in the comments, I'd love it. And then we'll call it a day. All right, I popped the wheel off on the driver's side. That's where the transmission is. It's like super easy to get to on this, so that's why I wasn't too worried if there was a transmission issue. Brakes, apparently they're turbo specific. Looks like there are some polymer or polyurethane, bushings there. Intercooler piping and coupler there. That all looks fine. The same here. It's kind of interesting how they have it bent there. So it's part hard pipe, part coupler. That's a big coupler, holy smokes. Looks like it's still got the factory oil cooler on there. I've heard some differing opinions on that. We'll head back to the exhaust. All right, it's probably pretty hard to see, but you got some flex pipe with an exhaust flange hooked up to the manifold, straight down into your O2s, no cat. This is a piece of stainless. This, I'm not sure. I think this might have been stainless actually. So, I don't know, you guys can tell. This obviously isn't stainless, that flange looks pretty bad, but this piece is. And then if you go all the way back, it doesn't look like there's any mufflers back there. I don't think these things had mufflers on them anyway, but let's go back there and check. As I'm sneaking out the front here, you can see this is where the accident up front probably was. This is original, going into the bumper that's got the red. But it looks like all the radiator supports and stuff are still from the original car, just got smushed a little bit on this side. Here we are out back. Looks like it's all just straight pipe, basically straight off the manifolds from what I see. Body underneath is still in pretty good shape too. Hardly any rust on here, it's dirty, but I love it when they don't got rust. I think that will probably do it for today's video, guys. I just wanted to give you a quick introduction of the SRT-4. Hopefully we can kind of work together to bring it back to life, and we'll see where it goes from there. I'll definitely be creating a playlist for this car, so if it's way down the road and you want to go binge watch some SRT-4 content, should be available or out there for you. But in any event, I appreciate you guys all so much for watching today's video. Stay tuned for more. I'll catch you in the next one.
Listen.
I was like hating on me. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back. I suck today. Hard to get the right intro today. Before I get into the nitty-gritty D-kit. Okay, before before I get into the nitty gritty, can you tell that it's hot up here?